Hello, and welcome back. This is Wildcat 5e, also known as Team 6705's FRC safety video, and today we're going to go over some documentation. So, what we're going to do is basically just go over a few spreadsheets that we have as our team, and why each one is important to have, and just kind of how you can implement documentation effectively in your team as well. As you can see here, this is our battery spill kit inventory spreadsheet. So this is a very important spreadsheet to have for us because we particularly have a lot of battery spill kits at our school, and that we bring to competitions as well. As you can see, we have each spill kit is labeled. It's our number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we can easily keep track of them. It is also helpful on the physical battery spill kit bucket, and because of this, we can track the contents in the bucket to the spreadsheet to make sure we have all the items available. And so, because of this, we have spill kit number 1, spill kit number 2, spill kit number 3, spill kit number 4, etc. And then we have the items that are necessary for each container, them being paper towels, trash bags, as you can see here, which will be later explained in the battery spill kit video. So this is just an example of a document you should have of categorizing your information of your battery spill kit. And as you can see here in this box, there's nothing in it. This is because we don't have that item yet. So this is why documentation is important, because you can clearly show what things you have, what things you don't have, and what things you need to do. This is really important, especially for battery spill kits, for example, because we wouldn't want to take battery spill kit 5 to competition because it lacks all of its materials needed. So that's just kind of a microcosm of why documentation is very important in displaying information to your team. So next thing you'll see here, probably next thing you'll see first, is this blacked out information. So from this document and other documents we have presenting today, this is blacked out because it's just very private information, and in general, you should not have private information available to other people. Not on your team especially, but even on your team, you should keep things private between only a select few individuals who are in the know, which we'll go over a little bit later as well. So this document is the emergency contact information. This is one of the most important documents you need to have. This one, as you can see here, has the team member's name, team member phone number, their first contact, their contact's phone number, their name, of the second contact, and the second contact's phone number. This is the required information you should have for emergency contact information, and you should obtain it from all the members of your team. This document is very important to have on hand at competition by a very trusted member privately, because if something does go wrong and somebody needs to be contacted, most likely a parent or guardian, then we have the person's name, and we can easily contact whoever we need to contact to make sure that we get all the required information and that they are safely taken care of. The next one is the incident report log. This one has the date, the name of the person injured, the injury, the treatment, and sign-off of the person who was injured. So the date, name, and injury are very important. It's just displaying what happened when, to just display what actually occurred, and so what would happen, and so we can get the treatment of what actually occurred afterwards to fix the problem and remedy the issue. And information is very important, so we can actually look back at these incident report logs from each year and see what injuries may have occurred and what went wrong and how we can remedy them in the future. And then also this sign-off is very important, mostly as a liability, mostly just having the person recognize that they had an injury in their workplace and that you can address them with that person specifically, and it's confirmed by a signature. So the next one is also important, especially competitions, is dietary restrictions. Dietary restrictions are important because, of course, somebody may be allergic to something and they cannot be in contact with them. And so because of this, we have the name, the restriction, and the distance from source. So of course the name is very important because you need to know who can have what and make sure that the restrictions don't go to them. And what we add as a team specifically is distance from source, which we also find is important because for some people, they can be in the same room or they can't be in the room at all of the restriction. And so because of this information is needed on hand at competitions, we have this distance from source column located here, so we can make sure that each person and each member of the team is addressed adequately and safely in accordance to what they need to be restricted from. And then next one is our repair log. Thankfully, we haven't need any repairs yet, but this is what's displayed on here is an item of the thing that he's repairing, the issue of the item of how it's not functioning properly or if it's unsafe to use. Was it fixed? How it was fixed, date of when it was broken, and the date of fix. This is these 4 columns. Well, these 3 columns right here are specifically just information, just knowing when it happened and kind of what happened, just to make sure we have accurate accounting. And the how it is fixed is just so we can possibly learn from it in the future to see if the problem rises again. And also we need to know if it was fixed, so we know if we're able to safely use that equipment or not. And also for all repairs, you should definitely check with your advisor to see if it is safe to use after everything has been repaired. And only after they check off of it, you should use that tool again. So another thing that we have is CPR training and certification. This year, of what we did for our team, is specifically have a CPR training for all the members who could attend. And so we recognize that many teams can't do this. So we just have a basic information thing of what we have. So possibly if you want to implement one in the future for your team, you can look at this video and see what we did to implement it properly in your team. So just have a first name, a last name, if they are CPR trained, and if they have official certification of a card. So this is very important because in a case of emergency competition that requires CPR training, we can go to our information binder, which will be explained later in another video, and we can say who exactly has the CPR certification and who is nearest to this issue, so we can quickly and efficiently get them to come to the person at risk of who needs CPR, and so the person who is actually trained can treat them effectively. And so this information is really very importantly needed. So to reduce the time between getting somebody who actually knows CPR and to actually getting that person to be able to perform CPR on the person who needs it. The last document I'm going to show you is a safety class assignment sheet, and this is some documentation purely for most information to make sure that we have all the safety classes accounted for and who has what safety classes when. This is mostly for information to make sure that people do not misplace their safety classes because, as of course we all know, it's a very valuable resource. So we do not want to lose them, and so this is why we have this data sheet. You can see here we just have some yellow bars of who has priority of getting them if we have a shortage. Similarly, this last sheet, which I forgot to say, they have these green bars which mark who is CPR trained. It's the same thing under the CPR trained column of who is CPR trained, and so we can clearly locate them very easily in case of an emergency. And so another thing on these documents and on these spreadsheets that you can't see right now because it's blacked out is all of this information, first name, last name, is all alphabetized. This is very important because these small seconds you have to try to find the person greatly reduces the time that is needed. And so because this time is really important in a case of emergency, you need to find this information quickly. And so because of this, like for example, we have this divided into students and non-students for advisors and just purely students. This is all alphabetically assorted, including the non-students. And so in case of an emergency, we can contact them contact whoever's needed very efficiently. This goes for the territory restriction as well, and for just all of these things. If it's just for information purposes, such as it's a report log, or if it's an emergency because of a dietary restriction issue. And so the next thing is just why we have these logos in the corner. There's 2 reasons for that. One is just a branding thing. We want to make sure our team is known. The other is more of a recognition issue of making sure that people know that because it is from our team, it is verified and the information is accurate and can be trusted, and know that because it is from our team, they can go to our team for help with safety issues and just other safety emergencies if they occur. This just increases just reliability and makes sure that other teams are possibly more comfortable in approaching your team with safety issues if you have a logo on all of your documents to make sure that they're reputable documents as well. One other thing is that we have specific safety medical forms. These forms are mostly through liability forms that are possibly done through your school, for example. And so we just have, so I'm not going to show you them because they're confidential, but you should have a dedicated folder to them on your drive and make sure that only very specific people have access to them, probably your advisor or safety captain specifically, to make sure that only they can access it. And so other people on your team cannot look at other people's team's information, because that in itself can be unsafe and dangerous. And so one other thing we have to mention is, we have a couple other things we have to mention. The first thing is, how do you get this information? So one easy way you can do it is just through forms, Google Forms. You can post on a team communication that you have. And so you can just put a quick questionnaire to gather all the information needed. And especially for these sheets, it's very easy to format it from your Google form into the sheet. You can do it very efficiently. You can do a quick Google search up if you need to know how to do it. So that's just a very simple way to gather this information. And you need to do this every year so that's up to date. This is also why we have a logo. So because it says 2020 season. So this is the information only for this season. And if we ever see one of these in a document, we know that we need to replace this document with an updated document that is accurate, and we need to put them in the appropriate binders in the appropriate organized places in which they can be accessed easily and accessibly in case of emergency. And so, thank you for joining us, Wildcat 5e 6705's FRC team. Thank you for our sponsors for this last season of GPS Hospitality, AXA, Excel Reinsurance, Griffith Engineering, and Vision Metals. Thank you for all of our sponsors, and thank you for watching.